The Galactic Council chamber floated like a jewel above neutral space, a silver ring wrapped around a dark star. It was the one place in the galaxy where no warships entered, no weapons were allowed, and no lies were supposed to be told. Inside, 218 species gathered, tall ones with crystalline eyes, crawling ones with armored tails, even energy beings in containment fields. Each delegate sat in a floating seat, arranged like a spiral around a single central platform. This was where peace was made, or broken. Today, Earth had asked for time to speak. It was unusual. Humans rarely came here. Earth wasn't one of the core worlds. Their territory was small. Their population was tiny compared to the great empires. Many council members hadn't even heard of Earth until recently. Still, a Terran request could not be ignored, so the doors hissed open and one human stepped in. Ambassador Rocky wore no armor no formal KP, just a black suit, tight at the collar. He held no datapad, no speech scroll. He walked straight, calm, and quiet. Toward the central podium, the Cavalier ambassador leaned to a neighbor. That's their entire delegation. The neighbor, a merchant species from the rim worlds, chuckled. Maybe Earth ran out of funds or courage. They laughed, so did others, but Rourke said nothing. He reached the center. The platform lit, under his boots. Then he spoke only once. Earth's demand, the planet Earth requests full sovereign recognition. Furthermore, all foreign stations, scout ships, and political agents within Sol System must withdraw within 6 cycles. The room went quiet. 6 cycles. That was just 6 galactic days, he continued, his voice calm, clear. If these terms are not accepted, Earth will consider itself outside the jurisdiction of the Galactic Council and act accordingly. Silence, then laughter. It started with the redskin jewel. Act accordingly, he said. Do you mean protest? Trade strikes? You have 6 trade lanes, Terran. The Zer diplomat sneered. Or will you throw another rock at us like you did during the Rim dispute? The laughter grew louder. 1. Delegates even mimicked the Terran voice. We demand, we command, we stand. Rourke's response. Ambassador Rourke didn't move. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply looked around the room once, slowly. Then he said 5 words. That was Earth's only request. He turned, and walked away. Whispers in the chamber. The doors hissed shut behind him. The laughter died down. A few delegates exchanged glances. The jewelry smirked. He's bluffing. They always bluff. But the oldest species in the room, the translucent, Areta, leaned forward. Its voice was like wind over bones. He didn't negotiate. He didn't debate. He didn't even delay. The council speaker asked, so? The Areti tilted its head. That wasn't diplomacy. That was a countdown. The chamber went quiet again. Outside the station, Rourke walked down the private docking corridor. The artificial gravity adjusted slightly with every step. Waiting for him at the Terran shuttle was a silent pilot. No questions, no words. Rourke boarded. The moment the hatch closed, the ship launched without permission, moving fast. Far too fast for a diplomatic vessel. From the council station's control deck, one technician shouted, the Terran ship just breached speed protocols. Another officer said, should I report it? The station commander looked at the retreating dot on the scanner and muttered, let it go. On board the shuttle, Ambassador Rourke sat down, pulled a small device from his pocket, and pressed a single button. Back on Earth, buried deep inside the Atlantic military core, a signal pinged. Green light, code verified, message stage 1 complete. They're not listening. The War Council back home began to move. They had been waiting. They always hoped diplomacy would work, but they were ready if it did. And single quotes T. Final scene. One delegate remembers back in the council chamber. As conversations resumed and jokes returned, one delegate stayed quiet. She was from a minor border world, too small to speak during major debates, but she had lived through the Scarf Offensive, one of the few wars where humans had gotten involved. And she remembered, humans didn't talk long. They warned once, then they vanished, just like now. She whispered to no one in particular. He didn't threaten us, he warned us and left. 3 standard days had passed since Ambassador Rourke left the Galactic Council. The chamber had returned to normal. Meetings resumed. Trade disputes were argued. Border security pacts were signed. No one mentioned Earth, except for whispers, deep nervous whispers. Terran. Embassies go dark. It started on the 4th day. On every council and world, Terran embassies shut down. Doors locked. Lights off. Even the planetary flags of Earth were taken down. Not a single message was sent. Not a word of warning. Not a goodbye. In the diplomatic station on Jernax 5. The alien ambassador stepped inside the now empty Terran consulate. Coffee still warm on the desk. Chairs still pulled out. Where did they go? His assistant asked. The ambassador slowly closed the office door and whispered, somewhere we probably don't want to follow. Sol System suddenly silent. Long-range scans from the council's observation. Network stopped receiving data from Sol. It wasn't just static. It was intentional silence. All outgoing signals from Earth were blocked or redacted before reaching galactic channels. Council command tried sending diplomatic envoys. None returned. A Zer scout drone made it into Jupiter's orbit and then vanished. No explosion. No debris. It simply disappeared off the map. A second drone followed, same result. The Zer fleet commander reported, "We believe Earth is cloaking the entire system." Back at the council station, Ambassador Cole, a senior member from the Viren Dominion, stood at the high table. "This is unacceptable," he declared. "A member state cannot simply vanish." The council speaker replied, "Earth was never officially a full member." Cole slammed his claws on the table. "Then they must be brought back under control." From the side, the Terran Delegate whispered, "And if they no longer want to be controlled?" Mockery turns to concerned council. News networks began running endless segments. What is Earth planning? Was Rourke bluffing? Could humans truly isolate an entire star system? Some reporters laughed at the rumors. Others did in single quotes. One anonymous source, former Terran trade partner, leaked something strange. They stopped buying raw materials a month before the meeting. They stopped selling things to Earth has been preparing for this emergency meeting. A secret session of the Inner Council was called. Only 10 members allowed. The topic, Earth. Admiral Talroth of the Shari Empire stood up first. "We must send a peace fleet to Sol, a gesture of goodwill." Senator Vine of the Korthi shook his head. "No, that'll look like weakness. We send strength of patrol. Nothing hostile, just presence." The speaker turned to the Eridi, who had been silent. "What would your kind suggest?" The Eridi did not answer right away. Then it spoke in a low, almost shaking tone. "We recommend silence. Let Earth cool. Do not provoke them." They walked away. Let them stay away. But the vote was already decided. The council sent ships to. Days later, a combined peacekeeping fleet was formed. 42 ships, each from a different member state. A symbol of unity and power. Their mission, enter Sol, make peaceful contact, and demand Earth explain its disappearance. They never made it past Saturn. Saturn's rings were watching as the fleet entered the solar system. They passed Neptune. Then Uranus. No response. No resistance. Just empty space. But as they reached Saturn, the first ship blinked off every scanner, then the second, then the third. The fleet stopped. The lead commander, Admiral Vark of the Vexaria, ordered a full sensor sweep. The results came back incomplete. Ships were being watched. Tracked. Every time they changed course. The data was already being adjusted as if someone inside their systems was predicting them, then it hit them. "We're not watching Earth. Earth is watching us." The broadcast at 0400 Sol time. Every ship in the council fleet received a short encrypted transmission. Only for words. "Final warning. Leave now." The voice wasn't angry, it wasn't loud, it was calm, and that terrified them more than any weapon. "Retreat or disappear." Half the fleet turned back immediately. The other half, led by Admiral Vark, insisted on continuing forward. He believed Earth was bluffing. His final message back to Council Command: "We proceed to Mars. If they mean war, they'll have to prove it." 10 minutes later, his fleet vanished. Back on Council world's news of the fleet's disappearance hit fast. Families demanded answers. Council halls filled with panic. Markets crashed. Border colonies sealed their skies. A general from the Jewelry Navy said, "We have to strike now. Earth is a threat." But others refused. "Strike where? At what? They haven't attacked us. We sent ships to their system." Inside Earth's War Council, deep below the Atlantic Ocean, inside Command Vault 9, Earth's generals stood around the digital map. They watched every council reaction in real time. No one spoke until a small message appeared at the top corner of the screen. "Phase 1 complete." A general looked to the others. "They didn't believe us." The Terran president nodded slowly. "Now they will." Final sign back at the Galactic Council chamber. The speaker sat alone at his private table. He watched the footage of Rourke walking out again and again. Calm steps, no threats, no emotion. He whispered to himself, as if realizing something far too late. That wasn't a walkout. That was the start of something. For years, the Council had measured strength in numbers. Fleet size, territory claimed, alliances counted. Earth never fit that model. They had fewer colonies, a smaller navy, less diplomatic weight, but now they had silence, and silence was spreading. The Zer violation, the Zer Confederation, known for arrogance, decided to act. They sent a harmless observation vessel into Sol system, a ship called Zerakin, unarmed, just for reconnaissance. Officially, it was a science ship. Unofficially, it carried deep scan tech meant to map military deployments. The crew laughed as they passed Neptune. "Look at this place," said First Officer Harrell. "Dead rocks and empty moons." As they passed Jupiter, they received a ping, weak short range, a simple message: "Turn around." They ignored it. Then they reached Mars, and that was the last transmission anyone received. The aftermath: no explosion, no wreckage. No signal trace. The Zeratkin was simply gone. The Zer military demanded answers. They accused pirates, accused rogue AI, accused everyone except Earth. But deep down, their top commanders knew they'd made the first mistake. They had entered Sol without permission. After the walkout, they had challenged the silence. Earth's message appears 48 hours after the Zerakin vanished. The Council's master relay station received a direct signal from Earth, encrypted, rarefied. The transmission played once, The vessel Zeratkin violated soul space. It ignored warnings. It will not return. This is not aggression. This is enforcement. Then silence again. No signature. No face. Just that calm, terrifying voice. Panic in the council. The Zer demanded a full session. Inside the great chamber, chaos unfolded. Some accused Earth of acts of war. Some begged for diplomatic talks. Some whispered about revenge. Ambassador Toval of the Amari Alliance stood and shouted. They took one ship and gave us one message. This is precision. This is not war. This is control. Others didn't care. The fear was already working. The vote motion was placed before the council. Should Earth be officially labeled a hostile power? The votes were uneven. Out of 218 members, 71 voted yes, 110 voted no. 37 abstained. It didn't pass. Too many were afraid of what YES would actually mean. Civilian reactions across the stars. Earth-made tech vanished from markets. Civilian trade with Terran outposts froze. Rumors spread on galactic forums. Humans built black hole weapons. Earth has teleport fleets. They're allied with the old machines. No proof, no facts, but the fear grew like wildfire. On the moonworld of Koresh, a young alien child asked his mother, what happens if the humans come here? Her answer, she didn't have one. Terran preparations in Earth's orbit. Black ships moved silent and cloaked. Each ship bore no name, no flag, no color, just matte plating and invisible edges. Inside the Soul Defense Corps, Admiral Vance walked the command bridge. One officer approached. Zaradkin has been removed cleanly. No trace, no breach. Vance nodded. They ignored a red line. It had to be done. Another officer asked, will they send more? The Admiral looked toward the screen showing empty space and the blinking dots just outside. So they already have. Inside a council war room, meanwhile, in a hidden chamber on a council station, several military leaders gathered. Screens showed Earth's territory. Small, defensible, deceptively quiet. Commander Rulax of the Drassery slammed his fist on the table. This is psychological warfare. They want us scared. Ambassador Cole of the Viren growled. And it's working. Someone in the room finally said what others were thinking. We must remind Earth of its place. A dangerous decision. The Council authorized a test fleet. Not a full assault, just a multi-species patrol group, meant to orbit Earth's edge and observe behavior. It was meant as a show of power. 6 ships. All heavily armed. Each from a different species. Each confident. They jumped to just outside Pluto's orbit. They expected to see nothing. They saw a Terran dreadnought already waiting. Contact at the edge. The Terran dreadnought didn't move, didn't charge weapons, didn't speak. It just sat there, bigger than anything the Council ships had seen from humans before. Its hull shimmered with armor unfamiliar to most sensitive tech. Inside, Commander Alara of Earth's Black Protocol Fleet gave a simple order. Hold position. If they fire, they disappear. One of the Council ships attempted a scan. It failed. Another tried a warning. Transmission. No response. Then came a sudden message sent from the Terran dreadnought. Only text. You are outside, Sol, and safe. Cross the line, and you are not. The message vanished after 10 seconds. The Council fleet turned around. All 6 ships. Left without a fight. Final scene. The meaning of silence back in the Council. Arguments continued. Some called for diplomacy, some called for war, but no one could deny one thing. Earth had drawn a line, and no one wanted to test it again. Ambassador Call, once loud and defiant, now stared quietly at a screen showing Sol System. He leaned in and muttered to himself. They didn't just walk out of the Council, they walked into history. The Council was quiet for days. No votes, no speeches, just silence. The kind of silence that only comes before a decision no one wants to make. The trigger, the Terran dreadnought that appeared at the edge of Sol, wasn't just a ship, it was a message. Big, silent, unmoving. And yet it said more than 1,000 diplomats ever could. Some Council leaders saw it as proof of Earth's growing strength. Others saw it as an open challenge, and that's when the mistake happened. The Peace Patrol becomes a threat. The Korthi Dominion pushed for action. Their voice was loud in the Council. Humanity is provoking us, said Ambassador Vine. We must remind them we are not afraid. The Council agreed to assemble a patrol fleet again. This time it would not be for observation. This time it would carry enough firepower to show Earth's limits. For 2 warships, a combined task force from over 20 species, elite captains, advanced weaponry, and clear orders. Fly near Earth, hold formation, show presence, do not engage unless provoked. A Terran strategy back on Earth, in the Deep-Level War Command Center. Admiral Vance reviewed the intel. The Council fleet was on its way. Their jump signatures were detected before they even reached Pluto. Vance didn't blink. He turned to his eye. Command Assistant, activate Defense Netface Delta. The AI responded in a soft voice. Confirmed. Cloaked satellites armed. Signal blockers online. Drone mines at edge grid deployed. Then Vance sent one transmission to the Terran fleet. Hold fire. Let them come. Arrival above Earth. The Council fleet reached Sol. They moved slowly, carefully. Dozens of ships spread into a wide orbital pattern above Earth. Their presence was felt instantly. People on Earth looked up into the night sky and saw unfamiliar lights. Some feared invasion. Some watched in silence, but no one panicked because Earth's leadership had said nothing. Terran response: absolute silence. A council fleet waited. They opened communication channels. No reply. They launched orbital scans. Nothing but encrypted walls and blank data. They even attempted to intercept local transmissions, but Earth was fully dark. One Korthi officer muttered on the bridge, "It's like they're not even there." Then something happened. The lights went out in one moment. The ships orbiting Earth lost sensor data. Internal comms, external comms, navigation. Sync blackout. Total. The lights inside the ships still worked. Power was still running, but they couldn't talk to each other. They couldn't contact home. They couldn't move with precision. "We've been cut off," one captain shouted. Another screamed, "It's a trap. They've shut us down." But it was already too late. They weren't being attacked. They were being isolated. The Terran signal arrives then. Just as quickly as it began, the blackout ended and one message played on every ship. It wasn't audio. It wasn't visual. It was text, just words, plain and cold. "This was only a simulation. Next time it will be real. Leave Earth's orbit. Do not return." The message erased itself after 10 seconds. Every backup system had a blank spot where the message had been. No one could trace it, but everyone on those ships saw it, and none of them doubted who sent it. The quiet retreat. The council fleet didn't argue. No votes. No messages. They turned. All 42 ships. They jumped out of Earth's orbit without a single weapon fired. They returned to council space and said nothing. Council reaction: total panic within 12 hours. The news spread. The most powerful multi-empire fleet in the galaxy had been humiliated. Earth had shown total control without firing a shot. And most frightening of all, Earth was still silent. One reporter on the council's main network said, "What kind of species doesn't answer threats? What kind of planet watches fleets arrive and lets them leave untouched but afraid?" The answer came from the oldest delegate, the Iridae again. "A species that doesn't bluff. A species that warned us and left." Earth begins Phase 2 inside Earth's War Council. Phase 2 began, but it wasn't about ships. It wasn't about missiles. It was data. Terran cyberintelligence AIs began to spread through the galaxy like a virus. But unlike malware, they didn't attack systems directly. Instead, they listened, they watched, they recorded. In less than a week, Earth had collected council defense blueprints, trade routes, political blackmail material, private messages of 70 top council members, and they did it without detection. The threat was never weapons. At the next council emergency meeting, the Korthians demanded Earth be labeled a rogue and hostile force, but no one voted. Because deep down, they all knew weapons weren't Earth's strength. Control was, and no one knew how to fight. That final scene. Ambassador Rourke's file on a secure world out. The council thought war would come with fire, missiles, orbital bombardments, invading fleets. But Earth had learned long ago, the strongest war is the one that doesn't look like war, and now Earth was fighting it. The great unraveling begins. It started with the Syrian banking collapse. A trusted interstellar bank used by over 100 council-aligned worlds suddenly froze all Terran currency. Within 6 hours, the bank's own internal servers crashed. Dozens of high-level financial officers resigned. 3 disappeared completely. Their private files were leaked showing council bribes, backdoor accounts, and data deals with pirates. No proof linked Earth, but everyone suspected it. The result: trust broke, and the Syrian bank system, which had stood for 600 years, fell in a week. Border systems go dark then. On the rim colonies of the Zer Confederation, power grids failed. Not just lights, communication towers shut down, shield systems glitched, life support backups didn't restart. Local commanders reported phantom errors in code. They blamed faulty parts. Until code logs in Terran syntax were found, no official statement was made. But the Zer pulled back 70% of their outposts that month. They were afraid to stay in territory Earth could reach. The Council's intelligence network collapses within 2 weeks. CouncilNet, the galactic spy network used to monitor threats, was compromised. How? No breach, no alert. Just false data. Entire systems reported safe. When pirate fleets were actually landing, rebel colonies that were thought to be pacified were suddenly gone. One high-ranking agent screamed in the council chamber, "We don't know what's real anymore. Earth is rewriting our data in real time." But even then, there were no warships. Earth hadn't fired a single shot. Ambassador Rourke's file has played a ganut to this point. Rourke had been gone for over a month, but someone in the council media archives found a duplicate of his private message. And for the first time, it was played publicly. The age of begging for respect is over. We watched, we waited, you laughed, now we control the dark places. You stopped guarding. This isn't revenge, it's correction. The video went viral across thousands of systems. People watched it in silence. Some cried, some evacuated their posts. One alien professor simply said, "This is the end of diplomacy as we knew it." The collapse of trade. A week later, trade across the Council's core worlds fell apart. No Terran ships were attacking. No pirates were seen. No fleets moved, and yet cargo disappeared mid-transit. Storage facilities reported wrong contents. Fuel shipments arrived, filled with water. Eventually, it was discovered Terran hacking drones had infected most major shipping routes 6 months ago. Every trade deal had unknowingly handed Earth control of the infrastructure. The Council scrambled to fix it, but by then panic had set in. Desperate, Council vote at last. The Council reconvened. This time every seat was filled. No jokes, no laughter, just fear. Ambassador Toval, who once mocked Earth, stood trembling. We must re-establish contact. We must apologize. The Aridi elders spoke again. No one responds to apologies after silence. Another ambassador stood, then sent a fleet. Force them back to the table. The speaker said one sentence. The last fleet never reached Earth. The room went cold. Earth sends a gift. Just as Council members debated a second military intervention, Earth sent something unexpected. A small package delivered in person by an automated Terran drone. It was placed silently in the center of the Council chamber. The guard scanned it. No weapons. They opened it. Inside, a data crystal. The label read, Terms of Separation. Inside the data crystal the file was clean. Simple text. No demands, no threats. Just a message. Earth is now separate. We will not participate in your systems. We will defend Sol with absolute finality. We will not initiate war. We will not enter your space. If you enter ours again, we will remove your presence permanently. Attached were technical files showing how Earth had hacked 17 major systems, neutralized 2 fleets, and collapsed 3 banking networks all without military action. And then, the final note, you laughed, then we left. This was the price. The Council cracks that day. 39 member species resigned from the Council. They no longer felt safe under its protection. Border worlds began to form new alliances. Trade systems split apart. Half a dozen species opened direct channels to Earth, trying to seek neutrality or non-aggression pacts. And Earth didn't respond because Earth didn't need to. Final scene. Silence returns on a Council archive. Ship orbiting the ruins of the Syrian banking planet. A young alien historian writes, no one believed the Terran walkout would change history. We thought humans were small. We thought they would scream, shout, rage, like the rest of us. But they simply walked out, and when we laughed, they walked through us. She ends her report with one final line. The loudest power in the galaxy was the one that said nothing at all. The galaxy was changing. Trade lanes were dying. Alliances were collapsing. Even criminals refused to cross into Sol. No one had seen a Terran warship in weeks, but Earth's silence was louder than any fleet. A dangerous proposal in the cold moon city of Firaxis. The Council met in secret. Fewer species attended now. Some had gone neutral. Others were too afraid. Only 76 delegates remained. One of them, Ambassador Kale of the Threx Union, stood and made a bold announcement. I will go to Earth. The chamber froze. Someone whispered alone. Kale nodded. They were willing to talk. Once we force their hand, I believe I can open it again. Others warned him they won't answer. You may not return. They have no reason to trust anyone. But Kale had already decided. That's why I must go. The journey to Sol. Kale boarded an old diplomatic craft. No weapons, no escort. Only a black flag with the ancient symbol of peace used before the Council even existed. His crew consisted of just 3. A pilot, a translator, and a historian to record whatever happened next. They crossed into Sol space on the 7th day. And they saw nothing. No ships, no probes, not even signals, just planets. And silence. Earth revealed as they passed Mars. A voice finally spoke, one Kale hadn't heard since the beginning. State your reason. It was the voice of Ambassador Rourke.still.com. Still quiet, Kale stood straight and answered to speak. To listen, to repair what we helped break. There was a pause, then Rourke's voice replied, land in Geneva. You will be watched. The empty planet. They landed on Earth and were shocked. No military presence, no police, no soldiers at the gates. But they were not alone as the ship touched down. Cameras pivoted silently from rooftops. Drones watched from the skies. Satellite patterns shifted above the clouds. Earth was not empty. It was simply choosing not to speak, unless needed. The first meeting, Ambassador Kale was led through quiet streets to a large underground chamber there. Rourke waited. He looked tired, not from age but from purpose. Kale bowed slightly. You could have destroyed us, but you didn't. Rourke's answer was blunt. Because we didn't want to. You think we seek war? We don't. We seek respect. We demanded it. You laughed. Kale sighed. Some of us are still listening. Rourke tilted his head. Too late for the Council, but not for you. Speak. The apology. No one heard. Kyle laid it all out. The panic in the Council. The collapse of order. The fear Earth had caused simply by being silent. He didn't beg. He didn't flatter. He simply spoke truth. You changed everything. With no violence that terrifies us, and maybe it should. Rourke stared at him for the first time. His voice softened. The galaxy was built to ignore voices like ours, until we made you listen. A new message. Kale asked the impossible. Will you speak again? Not to the council, but to the stars. Rourke gave no answer at first. Then he gestured to a monitor. On it, a single message was typed. The Terran Accord. It was not a treaty, it was a statement. One paragraph, one rule. We will not expand beyond Sol unless provoked. We will protect our own. We will not ask for seats, votes, or applause. We will not return to the table you mocked. We have built our own. Back to the star scale left Earth with the Accord stored in a crystal. No escort. No signal to guide him out, only silence once again. But this time, it didn't feel hostile. It felt earned, like Earth had said everything it needed to, and the rest, off the galaxy, would spend decades trying to understand it. Return to the Council. When Kale returned, the Council expected war. They expected Earth to make demands, to threaten, to punish. Instead, Kale played the Accord aloud, and for the first time, no one interrupted what the galaxy realized. Earth didn't need to invade. Earth didn't need allies. Earth had become what every empire feared, a power that answers insult with precision. Silence, a nation that doesn't bluff, a world that never speaks twice. By the final scene, new map, old stars and the quiet archives of a Terran moonbase. A historian finishes carving the final line on a new galactic map above the Sol system's border. Reads one phrase. They warned us, they left, we followed. Too late. The galaxy had changed. Borders shifted. Alliances collapsed. New powers rose in silence, watching Earth and learning, but Earth remained quiet until the day the Terran broadcast came. The gathering storm. It started on a normal cycle, no alerts, no distress signals. Then, across every known system, on every ship, every data pad, every council frequency, a symbol appeared, the ancient Earth glyph. Then a voice, not angry, not robotic, just calm. It was Ambassador Rourke to the species of this galaxy. This is our final transmission. No threats, no demands, no war. The galaxy froze. No one could mute it. No one could stop it. Every screen glowed with Earth's message. What the galaxy saw of the broadcast was more than audio. It showed images first. The Galactic Council, years ago, laughing as Ambassador Rourke stood alone. Then scenes of Earth's cities. Clean, peaceful, balanced. Then Terran defense, fleets, island, black-cloaked ships orbiting in organized formations. Then captured logs of Council corruption, pirate alliances, and suppression of weaker civilizations. And finally, the full text of the Terran Accord. We were invited. Then insulted, we were questioned. Then mocked, we answered once, then left. This is not vengeance. This is not fear. This is closure. Reaction across the stars on a Viron warship. The Admiral stood frozen, tears in his eyes, on a Council world. Riots broke out, citizens demanding their leaders explain why Earth was right. On neutral planets, people cheered. For the first time in centuries, truth had cut through politics. The breaking point inside the Council chamber, panic returned. Some members demanded a response. This is propaganda, we must counter it now. Sanction them again. But others remained quiet, because they saw something deeper. Earth had already won. Not by domination, but by refusing to play. Earth begins the shutdown. Within 72 hours of the broadcast, Earth took its final step. They began withdrawing entirely. Terran embassies closed. Trade links severed, navigation beacons shut down. Border markers went dark. Earth was not hiding. Earth was removing itself from the game. One by one, systems lost access to Terran databases, medical tech, and AI systems they'd quietly used for years. And suddenly, the galaxy realized they needed Earth. Earth never needed them. The Council's final attempt desperate. The Council voted to send one last diplomatic mission. A new team, a new message, one of humility, apology, and partnership. They waited outside Sol space for 3 days. Then a single message returned. Message received. The Council is acknowledged. Earth will not respond further. Goodbye. The channel closed. Silence as power other species began to follow Earth's path. The Western Pact broke away from Council authority. The Kirish Republic adopted the Terran Accord's language. Even former enemies of Earth tried to emulate their discipline because Earth had taught them something no war could. The strongest weapon in the galaxy is walking away while everyone else still shouts. The Council begins to fracture with no Earth to blame. They turned on each other. The Zur Confederation demanded military dominance. The Korthi started reinforcing old borders. Trade wars erupted. Dozens of small systems declared independence. And through it all, Earth watched in silence. The monument. At Sol, back on the moon, Terrans built something new. A monument. No names. No weapons. Just a tall spire of obsidian, reaching to the stars. At its base, one sentence carved in hundreds of languages. We spoke once. It became the most visited location in the solar system. Even alien tourists came quiet, respectful, unsure of what to say because Earth didn't speak again, and that made the monument even louder. Final scene. Rourke's last words, years later. In a closed archive, a final message from Ambassador Rourke is found. It was never transmitted, just recorded and sealed. He sits in the same chamber he once walked out of. He smiles, not in pride, but in peace. They asked us to prove ourselves. We did. Not by power, Not by force, but by walking away from a table that never valued our seat. This wasn't victory, it was understanding. You don't win by being feared. You win by being after you've stopped talking. The recording ends, the screen fades to black dots, and the stars keep spinning. Years passed, the Terran broadcast was still replayed in schools. The words we spoke once had become a warning, and Earth remained silent. No expansion, no retaliation, no demands. Just soul, untouched, undisturbed, and absolutely respected. The Council collapses. The old Galactic Council didn't survive, not because of war, because of irrelevance. When Earth left, it didn't just walk out of a room, it took the foundation with it. Member states left one after another, the trade routes died, the alliances crumbled. The systems that once looked to the Council now looked to Earth's example. The Council's last vote was held on a new chamber. Only 9 of 100 seats remained filled. No press covered it, no species celebrated it. The vote was simple, dissolution passed. Then the lights went out, the Council was over. A new order begins out of the chaos. Something new was born. It had no central seat, no grand station, no elections, just a shared principle drawn from Earth's silence. Speak once, mean it, then act. They called it the Void Compact, a loose alliance of civilizations that agreed to non-interference, sovereignty, and strategic isolation. Each system chose its own path, but always remembered what Earth had done. Earth still watches in orbit above Neptune. The black array remains, no transmissions, no beacons, but its sensors track everything, every ship, every fleet, every signal. Earth knows. It always knows, and no one tests them anymore because every race that did, they're gone. The children of Earth, some of Earth's older colonies, places like Luna Prime, Mars, Bastion, and Europa Core, started quietly sending out explorers again. But they didn't wave flags, they didn't demand tribute, they simply watched, observed, listened. And when they found broken worlds, they didn't conquer. They helped without saying who they were. Some called them ghosts, others called them angels, but every time one left, it left behind the same symbol, the Earth GLYPH. The last meeting decades after the walkout, a delegation of young alien leaders requested a private audience with Earth. They were not council members, they had no army, no threat, and no arrogance, just curiosity. They asked to meet in neutral orbit far from Sol. To their surprise, Earth agreed. Not with a ship, but with a single Terran AI projection. It looked like Ambassador Rourke, but it wasn't him. It was something new. Why did Earth stop speaking? One delegate asked. The AI paused, then replied, because no one listened the first time. Another asked, and now the AI smiled. Now they listen without a sound. Legacy without rule. Earth never tried to rule the galaxy, it didn't need to. Its actions became law. Speak clearly, once, defend, but don't provoke, never bluff. Silence carries weight. Leave if you must, but leave loudly. No school forgot this. No fleet ignored it. No empire dared repeat the Council's mistake. The grave of the Council in the shattered world where the Council once stood. Travelers now find a quiet monument, small, unmarked, black stone. If you scan it, a single file plays. The ones who mocked Earth learned one truth. The quietest voice is often the last one you hear. Earth's final signal. One day, a ripple was detected in deep space. A Terran signal, an ancient, encrypted, and buried so deep no one had seen it before. Activated. It was sent not from Earth, but from beyond the edge of the galaxy. A beacon. Pulse. Then silence again. No one could trace it. No one could decode it. Only Earth knew what it meant. But the message repeated every year on the same day. And it always said just one thing. We are still watching. Final scene. The new delegate, new alien diplomat, stands at a starport, looking at the stars above Sol. He's young, not afraid, but respectful. His people never saw war with Earth. They only know the stories. He asks his mentor, do you think they'll ever return? The mentor smiles softly. They never left. Then the camera pans out past Sol, past the stars, past the old ruins of a fallen council. And far beyond, something stirs. Not a weapon, not a fleet, just a quiet world, watching